Welcome back, everyone, to the final match here of the inaugural season for Hearthstone Grandmasters of the Americas region. My name is Frode. I'm joined by TJ Sanders. And coming next, we got a final to determine who is getting that last spot for Season 1 at the Global Finals at BlizzCon later this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice one. It's been a long season, 8 weeks of play now, almost in the books with the final week closing up here. And PNC versus Purple making their way to the finals. It's Mage versus Warrior, which, Dan, I think that our whole regular season was a precursor to the matchup we were going to be seeing in the finals, because I feel like this is one we've watched a lot.
All right, well, let's go ahead and check in on the deck list of what we can expect. We have PNC bringing the Cyclone Mage with a fast 2-0 victory. And, you know, Eddie not able to get over the hump of the Mage is pretty surprising to me. I kind of thought that the Paladin was supposed to be very good against the Mage, and it turned out it was very ineffective against the early game from PNC.
Yeah, the Luna's Pocket Galaxy, I think, was the key to PNC's last matchup against Eddie, and honestly, I think it might be the key to this matchup against Purple. Having it in his primary deck gives him a big advantage, because it allows him to have that potential advantage as early as game 1. And keep in mind, this is now a best-of-5. So that last series against Eddie, PNC I don't think can rely on just drawing Luna's Pocket Galaxy every game. His decks are going to be tested. They're going to be put through the ringer against Purple's lineup, who's bringing Bomb Warrior. And the interesting thing to note is Purple does have a tertiary deck that seems to be designed for Mage with the double Augmented Elec, Big Game Hunter, Brawl, and Super Collider. So unlike the best of 3, with best of 5, the tertiary deck comes more into play because you get to play it at least 2 additional times after game number 1. So should be a very interesting series to say the least.
Yes, if Purple can hold off against this, he's won not 1 but 2 unfavorable matchups going into day number 3 here. And as we come to the conclusion of the Hearthstone Grandmasters season altogether, we do want to highlight a couple of things. One, Purple has a chance to make 3 World Championship appearances. That is unprecedented. No one's been able to do that so far. He'd be the first to make that historic landmark. The second is we have never had a player from Latin America represented at the Global Finals or a World Championship. We've had them get to championship stages at seasonal finals with, you know, Diego Diaz and Topo Pablo or Epinezado and Naukidan. But, like, you know, no one's been able to make that breakthrough. And now PNC could be that guy.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of pressure, especially after PNC's start. Right, he had a very rough start to the regular season of Grandmasters.
Extremely rough.
He even tweeted out after like week 1 or 2 saying, I really need to stop focusing on other games and really hammer down my Hearthstone practice. And he did. Despite a rough start, was able to barely sneak into the playoffs, and now has put up a fantastic performance this far, and does have a good matchup in the finals, which is not always something that you can hope to have. And I see a Luna's Pocket Galaxy already in the opening hand for PNC.
Let the pain speak to me.
Yeah, Luna's Pocket Galaxy would be really good if PNC doesn't draw his minions. Oh, you know, part of the power of Luna's Pocket Galaxy is that he can have his 1-mana Antonitis, 0-mana Mountain Giants. So, not as big of an upside as it usually is. It's still very good. Should he choose to coin it out here?
Purple recognizing that, though. If he's going to coin Luna's Pocket Galaxy or play a big threat, Purple realized I need to have the biggest thing on board, and that's a Mega Devastator, which you may think, well, such a good late-game card to be able to deal with big giants. It's not necessarily about that in this matchup, especially Purple playing Bomb Warrior. With limited removal, like only 1 copy of Brawl, no Big Game Hunters, no Super Colliders in the primary. He needs to pile on the pressure and roll from there.
Mirror images to protect his Mountain Giant. I like it. To get some board presence. There's no Shield Slam available for Purple. He doesn't even have the armor count to capitalize onto it. He does, however, have an opportunity to go Dynamatic to draw cards and potentially find ways to answer future Giants. And I think Purple, in his mind, if he can sneak out a win in this primary deck, he feels very good in this series. But I don't think his chances for this primary game feel very optimistic, given that he doesn't have Big Game Hunter, he doesn't have Super Collider. Heck, he only has 1 Brawl in the deck, which is very precious.
Yes, very, very precious. And he did find a clear here with Warpath, which also draws him cards. Double Warpath plus...
Almost a clear.
Oh, not quite a clear.
Yeah. But the Warpaths also make sense, given that he is guaranteed draw, and Dynamatic can potentially answer a Giant later if he just played one-on-one and he has Dr. Boom at Genius.
Doesn't want to see Conjurer's Calling here, which is has to be on the forefront of Purple's mind, but PNC currently doesn't have it. And I wonder if PNC was using this Giant as a way to buy him time to get to Luna's Pocket Galaxy, or if PNC says, after seeing both Mountain Giants and an Archmage and Tinnitus, if Luna's Pocket Galaxy is even worth giving up tempo to play. Since most of the time you're using it to get cards like Mountain Giant and Archmage and Tinnitus cheaper, and he only has 1 copy of Sea Giant in his primary deck, which means that his threat, it's not going to be worth the tempo.
Magic Trick into Ray of Frost, which, you know, PNC, if he picked up that Mana Cyclone, would have more than a full hand, only able to hold 10 cards at one point. So, what is he really looking for here, dude? Just looking for Conjurer's Calling and that's it?
I think so, and that's why I'm honestly surprised he went for Arcane Intellect first over Magic Trick.
The second Magic Trick.
Yeah, the Magic Trick could have given him without the forced cord removal, and then if you don't hit it on that one, you could always hit it on the following turn with Arcane Intellect for
right.
mana.
PNC using both Rays of Frost to stop potential Dynamatic or any other kind of removal, and if Purple does go for this Militia Commander, he will walk into exactly that. PNC also recognizing Splitting Image could have been triggered by the 1-2, so this is a nice spot here. Purple picks up Snip Snap, just needs to get to his Dr. Boom Mad Genius turn. It feels like it'll be smooth sailing for his removal options. Doesn't mean that he'll necessarily win the game.
Yeah, and it feels like at this point, I don't know if he can respect Splitting Image. I think he just kind of has to hope that it's Counterspell and take the hit. Right. As unfortunate as it seems, yes, he could attack into Sorcerer's Apprentice, but then if he attacks into Sorcerer's Apprentice, there's still a Giant on the board.
Right.
Right. In every scenario, there's a Giant on the board if you attack into Sorcerer's Apprentice. In 1 out of 4 of the rest of the scenarios after testing for Mirror Entity, there's a Mountain Giant in play. So.
Yeah, the difference maker would be, of course, if he had a 2-2 versus no minion on the board after the trade.
Yeah.
PNC still holding to his Luna's Pocket Galaxy. I'm trying to figure out the right timing of it, because as the game progresses, this card becomes less effective. And he already did use some of his card draw, like Arcane Intellect, so it's not like if he goes for Pocket Galaxy, he'll be in a good spot right afterwards. He still needs card draw to back it up. Otherwise, it doesn't really do anything. Yeah,
I think maybe if he draws Stargazer Luna as his next minion, he'll play it. But other than that, I don't think, unless he has 5 mana to spare with nothing else to do, that he's actually going to play it.
So he wants to Frostbolt and utilize this spell to gain some tempo on the board to protect his minions. If Purple finds the Brawl, PNC is almost out of gas. That's a big if. I don't think he has a way to get through everything right now.
He doesn't have a way to get through everything, but he can take out one of the Giants, and with Shield Block plus Shield Slam. Shield Block also could pick him up something that allows him to deal with the Sorcerer's Apprentice for 3 mana. Warpath, maybe the second copy of Warpath, but that's a pretty big expenditure. I think right now he's just worried about trying to survive as long as possible.
2 Snip Snaps, kind of leans towards playing 1.
Yeah.
Immediately on the board for presence. There's 11 power on the board. Now we kind of see the value of what the Pocket Galaxy would have been able to give if PNC played it, but he's running out of minions to actually hit it on now.
Yeah, he has Stargazer Luna.
Yep. Yeah, Stargazer Luna. He has
Zilliax, and a
Zilliax.
Sea Giant. Oh, and 2 Mana Cyclones.
Right. So 4 mana to base, to still hit about 5 to 6 minions. Still reasonable. I mean, he's even got Snip Snap in the deck, it looks like. So.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's some hits. Thing is, you give up developing on your own turn. And I think in PNC's mind, if he just say goes for Banana Buffoon and Halftime Scavenger, it feels like it's a better proactive game plan to kill the warrior.
What to do? What to do?
I think Banana Buffoon is the card that I almost 100% want to come down this turn. I don't know if the Halftime Scavenger is super important. And the bananas are something that I wasn't expecting to be spent just because he has Archangents and I just lined up for the next turn. But if Source of Apprentice gets dealt with, he only has 1 mana, so I think his plan for next turn is to play Archmagentinitis plus 1 banana and hope that purple, if he does have any removal left, is using it on this board.
Yeah, precisely. So purple can play Dr. Boom at Genius, gain 7 armor, can play the Turnium Rover and trade in, which gains another 2 armor.
I'm so
That should offset this giant damage.
Yeah.
He actually has an option to trade in his Snip Snap so that he can keep his Eternium Rover alive instead of trading the 1/3 to the 3/1.
Just more efficient armor gain. I like it.
Yes, he needs every bit of life he can squeeze out. PNC with 10 power, 7 damage off.
Ho ho ho.
That's second fireball. And you just saw that purple got a delivery drone. This looks like a double fireball turn.
Yeah. Pick up 2 fireballs, you push 9, put purple down to 8. Even if he draws a shield block, he's still dead without any additional armor gain. Also, purple would have to gain health and... Oh no, he'd actually push him all the way down to 7. So purple would have to deal with these minions and heal up to play around this combination, which with his current hand, I can't even think of a draw that does that. Zilliax?
Okay.
Okay.
Ah, but he's 1 mana off from the Omega Devastator Zilliax.
He can Omega Devastator Zilliax by itself and just kill the Archmagentinitis. That would be 7 points of healing, so it would put him out of range.
Okay, then.
It put him out of range, except the second fireball.
Ah, yeah,
Would
because
would
the
be
Omega
enough.
Devastator would be at 7 health. He could Fireball Ping, Fireball Face. He would have to trade in his Eternium Rover. He can actually magnetize... No.
No, I think he's still dead either way. Because if he plays the Zilliax and Omega Devastator, that thing has... Well, heck, it has 7 health, right? So it's...
Yeah, it would be Fireball Ping and then Fireball Face would be
okay,
exactly 16. He can go up to 16 because he can gain 7 by attacking into this.
Right. And then he attacks in with the Eternium Rover, so...
Yeah, but then he's dead because a Fireball Ping to the Omega Devastator and then a Fireball Face is exactly 16.
Right. It's his best play, doesn't have the battle cry from the Mega Devastator, and even if he didn't, he had Conjurer's Calling to help get past. But PNC should be able to wrap this up. Fireball, the 7/7, hero power it, push face, and deal another 6 damage. Oh, he doesn't have enough mana. He has 9 mana.
Oh, he has 9 mana.
Yeah.
Wonder.
We were working on the assumption that PNC had 10 mana.
Yeah, I kept forgetting that PNC was on the coin this game. I thought he was going to be rolling into 10 mana.
Okay, and then do you go for the Conjurer's Calling lethal? I think so. Yeah. No taunt
No
minion.
taunt.
And that should do it. Purple knew that it was unlikely that he would survive, but PNC goes for it anyways, and that's going to wrap up the first game.
Actually, a few taunts in the 4 cost pool, like Felsoul Inquisitor, Proud Defender,
Shield
Master,
Noyo Mod.
Yeah, there's actually
It's a handful.
There's a good amount actually. So,
but there's a lot more non-taunt minions.
There's a lot more non-taunt minions, but not guaranteed by any means. But PNC probably very happy to take that first win, albeit kind of expected based off of both players' primary decks. PNC usually if you have a mage with a Pocket Galaxy in the deck versus a warrior that doesn't have a build specifically to counter mage, then the mage is favored in that scenario. But the secondary decks could change things up a bit.
It should change things up. Whether or not PNC has more ammo to take down the warrior, warrior has more defenses to stave off the mage pressure. As if we take a look at the secondary and tertiary decks for either players, PNC does have the Twilight Drakes, the Harrison Jones, Karen Bloodhoof, and Alex Straza, and dropping some of his other less used cards for this matchup. I anticipate him going more towards that. And then for purple, I believe his tertiary deck with the double Augmented Eleg, Big Game Hunter Brawl, and Super Collider should come into play here.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think we did get word that both players are swapping to those decks. I couldn't think of a scenario where they wouldn't. Maybe if PNC were to take out something crucial to make room for that, but the secondary deck from him is specifically designed for Warrior, and the tertiary deck for purple specifically designed for Mage. So we've had the debate like all season long about if the Big Game Hunter Super Collider Extra Brawl package gains you percentage points against the Mage. And I think our ultimate conclusion after having a significant sample size of it was yes, but you are cutting some tempo tools most of the time to make it happen. In Purple's case, the only real downside to it is that he cuts Eternium Rover, so he doesn't have that one drop that can push a little bit of extra damage early on. But other than that, he cuts Archivist Elysiana Harrison Jones Weapons Project, which are pretty dead cards in the matchup, all things considered.
Yeah, I think this Big Game Hunter Super Collider should still help out significantly. The real key was purple not able to stabilize in time before PNC ran out of ammo. And the secondary deck, as we mentioned from PNC, the Karen Bloodhoof, the Alex Straza, Twilight Drakes, helps get him that board presence early and then snowball that victory into a win, and then be able to capitalize on his opponent's mistakes aren't really nearly as important, right? Like Frost Nova is not really a crucial thing for the Warrior matchup. Halftime Scavenger, the armor count, not really that important. So if you're going to be going less on those big giant swings, considering that Warrior just develop more onto the board, why even keep Sea Giant around? Makes sense.
Yeah, does make a lot of sense. And time for game number 2. PNC 2 game wins away from a spot at the global finals at BlizzCon. Purple needs to find a way to come back in the series. Purple's been playing a lot of Bomb Warrior throughout the course of Grandmasters. PNC's kind of been all over the place. Started off with Mech Hunter, played a lot of Rogue in the middle, but for the past few weeks, this Mage deck has been his go-to. As for many players, to change the Luna's Pocket Galaxy, the deck just kind of ups its power level across the board. And no surprise that many of the players that were in playoffs across all regions brought the deck.
Whoa, coin Augmented Eleg. And this is a way for him to answer any turn 3 threat from PNC like that Stargazer Luna. Not that PNC would anyways in this position, given that he knows that Purple wouldn't play that if he couldn't threaten. So it might look strange, but had PNC played the Stargazer Luna, then the Shield Slate would have come down, and then he would have lost that opportunity.
Yeah, PNC rolling right up the curve, though, and Purple was hoping for a 3-drop to kind of compound this pressure, but didn't find it. And that never feels great.
Doesn't feel great, but not the end of the world here for Purple, because he still has some semblance of board control. PNC playing a card and hoping for no Big Game Hunter. And he is correct. No Big Game Hunter right now available.
Dynamatic just slightly off. Shield Slam a little bit off as well. I don't know if Ren's Caliber's on Purple's mind because he thinks that if Conjurer's Calling were to come out, then he would need to override it with Super Collider in order to deal with it. I'm thinking maybe Omega Assembly and try and fish for something to play onto the board this turn.
What would you want to play? Oh, man. So, putting the Giant down to 1 health when PNC has the Conjurer's Calling. I mean, if he doesn't have the Conjurer's Calling, he sets it up so that way if he picks up anything from Warpath to another Dynamatic, Purple still has ways to pick off that Giant. And it's...
This is weird, Dan.
What to do?
What's weird? Talk to me.
If this was going to 5 mana, I would like this play a lot more. Because this would kind of be almost a bait to Conjurer's Calling, because if he Conjurer's Calling, he could only do it once. He couldn't trade into Dynamatic before he did that, and then Purple follows off a Super Collider and has a minion on board to gain initiative after Super Collider. This is going to 6, which means PNC has the option to double Conjurer's Calling, which plays around the Super Collider, and you're going to be taking 8 or 7 if it's Grave Board the next turn anyway.
It's fair criticism. Oh my goodness. PNC getting ahead of the Super Collider by Frostbolting the face.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is kind of even worse for Purple.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate punish. Very nicely done by PNC. Dynamatic number 2. He's going to brawl to try to get these Mountain Giants off the board, but it's a 1 and 3. Purple knows. It's unlikely. And yeah, it wasn't able to get it. PNC twice as likely to win. Finds another Pocket Galaxy. Doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Instead, can go for another Conjurer's Calling or just another Giant. So in this position, you have to kind of weigh what you really want to do. Is it just 2 Giants and that's it? Was there a specific reason why he ordered it that way? 2-0 lead for PNC, who is crushing his way through the final bracket here. 2-0 lead. Purple has to win 3 in a row in order to upset PNC and book his ticket to BlizzCon.
Yeah, this is kind of rough, and you can tell there right at the end, the Twilight Drake was pretty much just played to play around Super Collider. And I think that's why he played the Twilight Drake after. He could have gained 1 additional health by playing it first, but he wanted to see the outcome from the Conjurer's Calling first, and then position the Twilight Drake accordingly to play to best play around Super Collider. Like if it's Grave Horror, he wants to split it, right? I think he wants to put it on the side. Maybe not. No, yeah, because he has to.
Either way, he only can split the minions by playing it second.
By playing it second, or else they go to the right side.
Yes.
And may seem like a fast concede from Purple, but he was 100% dead. He had nothing in his hand that dealt with that. He could have Super Collidered. He would have taken 8, and then it'd be 8 on the backswing, which would have been enough. So. Purple's down to his last legs.
It is tournament point. The winner of this will win the tournament and go to the global finals at BlizzCon 2019. Who is it going to be? PNC. Going to be the first Latin American player ever to go through and represent not himself, not just his team, but also his entire region, which has been, in my opinion, very underrated throughout the years. Many people look at Americas. They think of USA. They think of Canada. They might even think of some of the other really great players within North America outside of those 2 countries, but they don't really talk too much about South America and how they, for a long time, have been grinding for years to get to this point. And PNC, kind of like a story of South America wrapped up into 1 season 2. He started off the season kind of rocky, just how Latin American players were a little bit behind the beginning of Hearthstone. And then over time, throughout the years, in this case throughout the season, they gradually picked up their play, and then they land themselves right in the upper echelons of the region.
That was beautiful, Dan. That's a good analogy.
It's a good metaphor, I think, for what ends up happening.
Or metaphor, what have you. Yeah, and I think that this would be the perfect cap-off to PNC's season. And right now he has...
Oh, he's got the juice.
He's got the juice.
Yeah, the Elements of Evocation. Allowing the Mana Cyclone to pump up this Mountain Giant. Not playable next turn.
but darn near close.
Yeah. And Purple having Dr. Boom Mad Genius and Brawl, some decent tools, but it seems like this is the story of the Mage. A lot of people are talking about how Mage is just the deck for the format. And I think PNC, with a win here, could also add a nice punctuation mark along with Fino, who are able to both use Mage very effectively.
Did Surrender use Mage too?
At least Surrender played Rogue, but I have to go ahead and check.
What to do? What to
Because it was when I was sleeping.
Yeah, yes. Kind of an awkward position for PNC here. Banana Buffoon, he wouldn't get the full benefit of the banana. He wouldn't be able to, well, he would, but his hand would be full, so he'd burn his next card.
I wonder.
Mana Cyclone, it's his second one. I don't know if he wants to get one spell. He could just Frostbolt or Magic Trick Frostbolt in order to keep the tempo up. Mountain Giant would still be playable next turn because it would go down to 4 in either scenario.
Yeah, Surrender played Rogue, where he beat Tyler twice, and then, of course, was able to beat Staz and Alutimu in the finals today.
Okay.
Shout out to Staz, by the way, bringing Hunter for the top 4.
Bold call.
Bold call that almost got him over the hump.
Yeah. He played that Hunter a lot in the last few weeks of Grandmasters on his insane streak. He actually qualified for the playoffs after a 2-6 start.
Yeah.
One of the breakout performers from Asia Pacific Grandmasters.
How terrible a feeling this must be as a Warrior, where you're stranded for plays. I mean, Purple had an option to discover something from a Mega Assembly, but probably feels like he needs that card later on in the game. Or perhaps even just find a better spot to look for a mech if he needs that one of. Mountain Giant. Third game here for PNC, where he's driving Giants down Purple's throat.
Purple has the answer, but it's a messy one. Having to use both Motion Commander and Shield Slam is a big expenditure for just the one Giant, knowing that a second one will come out at any moment. I think Purple this game, he kept Dr. Boom Mad Genius in the opening hand, so you can tell he kind of wants to play for that longer style. He knows that he has additional removal in the deck with the Big Ib Hunter Super Collider second Brawl. This matchup can get pretty grindy when it comes down to it. And a lot of times when that happens, when the Warrior has checks to each one of the Mage's threats, the Warrior comes out on top because they're shuffling some bombs in along the way.
Is ours.
PNC going for some card draw, finds a bomb. That's not what he's looking for.
Behold the tools
and normally drawing that bomb would be a good thing for Purple, but he doesn't have... yeah, actually, it normally is a bad thing if he has Bladmaster Boom, but he didn't have it, so inconsequential. And now Purple has to figure out a way to deal with this threat, and he only can deal with half of it through Warpath. So what does he do with his other remaining mana here?
Just the best tempo play you can make on the board is a Mega Devastator and Armor Up, but he might need to go for something risky, and that's exactly what I was going to say, is the Omega Assembly. Maybe find a Dinomatic to pick one of these minions off the board, because there's 6 health represented.
Purple is thinking very hard about how he can find a way to answer this, and it's looking like he's not going to. And he's saying, you know what, PNC, if you want to go ham and develop onto the board like crazy, be my guest. I have a Brawl. But, I mean, that's only going to be the beginning of Purple's problems. Now he's given PNC full development on 6 mana. And PNC has to weigh how much he wants to go in here. He does have Mountain Giant, which will draw a card. Start things off with that. He has Conjurer's Calling to follow up with it.
Behold the tools of creation.
Oh.
Well, that adds a stopgap for whether or not Luna can draw more cards, but it's still a very powerful option. Now PNC can play a preload strategy, which is to load up the board with 15 or more life, and then Alexstrasza and go for the kill. A lot of times all you need to do is to conjure calling 1 Giant, and then you have the game-ending damage with Alexstrasza.
Still a little bit of ways off from that, but like you mentioned, it's about how much does PNC want to extend onto the board here.
I mean, I think maybe it's a good opportunity to think about Counterspell as well to stop your opponent from being able to respond to your board.
Yeah.
Maybe even Frost Nova the Phase, not Frost Nova, Frost Bolt the Phase, but I think it still has a lot more utility to be held.
I agree. And Purple's still healthy. I think this is, yeah, a great opportunity to play Doctor Mad Genius, get the mana out of the way. That opens up the removal options for the following turns because all of his mechs now have Rush. Still yet to check for the secret in any way.
Yes,
So-
Counter Spell does not trigger on hero cards.
That'd be cool if it did.
I guess?
Or Mirror Entity. You play a hero card against Mirror Entity, your opponent gets the mirror card too, or the hero card too.
That'd be pretty sick.
Or a new Mage Secret.
Hero Entity.
Hero Entity. It has very small use cases.
It'd be pretty good in this spot. Once again, PNC showing us the right sequencing to make sure that you can help Super Collider be less effective. This would be a 4/10 Twilight Drake.
Time runs out on me. What to do? What to do?
Ah, she's gonna opt against it.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to overextend into Brawl.
Yeah. If he goes for this play, if Brawl comes out next turn, he can go Twilight Drake, Twilight Drake.
And it's still sizable amount of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. All of these minions, except for the Banana Buffoon, if they survive, are still very threatening. And Purple still hasn't checked for Counterspell, still hasn't checked for any secrets. He knows that he has to Brawl this turn, and I think that he has to ensure that the Brawl is going to activate. So Warpath into Brawl. This is a pretty big outcome. He lost the one last game.
Oh. Grave Horror survives. Almost all targets were not ideal, right? Because your opponent would still keep both Luna or Sorcerer's Apprentice that was buffed, but in terms of the worst outcomes, you're just looking for not the Giants. And Grave Horror surviving with more Conjurers calling to summon the same minions back or better.
Yeah, PNC gonna split the goalpost again to play around Super Collider. And Purple, he might be on his last turn. He's at 9 mana. Right now there's 19 damage represented on board. Purple can go up to 19.
Well, he does have 2 Snip Snaps that can answer 8 health, or 4 health with each Snip Snap variation. But
I give up.
that's gonna do it. Purple concedes, and PNC with a 3-0 clean sweep is coming to BlizzCon.
What an impressive performance. Just a sweep of the semis, a sweep of the finals, and really showing the power of Mage and honestly, just kind of the power of PNC in general. We said it, a rough start to the season, made a huge comeback in the second half, and had a great performance all the way throughout the playoffs, and caps it off with yet another quick final to end things off. 3-0 in Europe finals, 3-0 in Americas finals, and now we have our 3 players for season 1 at the global finals.
History has been made. PNC is joining us at BlizzCon for the 2019 Global Finals. And I can't imagine, a happier region right now that celebrates him. I know Naoki Don and Race and all the people that were, part of this practice group must be ecstatic over him. I know PNC even started off with a lot of problems just handling his own mental state, right? Like talking about anxiety and pressure performing. He said he never had played stakes this high. And, instead of the story of the 3rd World Championship for Purple, it is the story of PNC, the Argentinian, who will be joining us for a brief interview on his victory, TJ.
Yeah, and PNC, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah.
All right, so PNC, talk to us about how you're feeling right now, man. You're the first Latin American player to ever qualify for a global world championship like this.
Yeah, this is amazing. I have no words for this. It's like one of the happiest moments of my life for sure.
Awesome. Going into this top 4, you're going up against Eddie, and you're going to play against the winner of Purple or Frozen. What were some of your thoughts going into these matches today?
Well, I didn't have much hope, to be honest. I think Eddie's deck was, I don't know. People keep saying that Mage is favored against Paladin. I saw Hunter and Fino saying that, but I'm not sure if they were trolling or not, but yeah. I don't think it is.
even
Wait, so
after
you
those
expect
games?
to win that game? Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I had to get really lucky with Luna's pocket. I think that was the key. Those matches for sure. And yeah.
Gotcha. Going up against Purple, was there anything that you like? Because people traditionally peg Mage to be favored against the Warrior, and things seemed to go really smoothly your way. It didn't look like you were under any pressure whatsoever that series.
Yeah, I think Luna's pocket makes a world of difference. Like compared to before, where Warrior had a chance in the secondary games. I mean, the second and third game. Like now it's way more favored for Mage. I feel even primary as well. Like all the games are better than before. So
You didn't play
if
Luna's
you
Pocket
draw-
Galaxy one time though, as far as
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw. You just had Mountain Giants and were
Well,
able to pressure him.
Yeah.
He played it, but
Yeah, sure, you're right. You're
after
right.
he already
You
got
played
Mountain
it.
Giants.
It didn't really matter at that point.
Yeah.
You're correct. Talk to us a little bit about, to zoom out bigger, the importance of this to be able to win for Latin America. I know that, they got really close. We talked about Diego Diaz in the past, Topo Pablo, and Pinizzato, Naogi Dan, players that you've practiced with a lot. What does it mean to grab a victory on behalf of all those players that have tried so hard over the years?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. Like I know Nagi was really close last year, and maybe very sad. Like I helped him prepare for that tournament too. So I'm very happy that I have the chance to prove that Latin America can do well in tournaments.
What do you think was the secret to turning your season around? You started off really poorly, and even you talking about how badly you were playing because of stress and anxiety, and then combination of bad technical mistakes. What was a turning point you felt like to help have this season flip around and landing into a victory for you?
I don't know. Like mostly, I think it was Seiko who helped me a lot. Like come back from like the way I was playing was like very bad, and I don't know. He was like, okay, we can do this. Just play together for like days and days, and yes, start getting better. And I don't know, just gain a lot of confidence for your matches too. Like when you start winning, like, you start feeling better too. So everything happened at the same time. So
The power of friendship.
Cannot be understated.
It can't be understated. PNC, is there anybody that you'd like to thank on top of Psycho and other people who've helped you practice here? Last words.
yeah, Navidan is very supportive. Like, oh, yeah, and my team, Team Genji, like best team in the world.
Best team in the world. How are you going to celebrate tonight or for the rest of the year?
Well, to be honest, like the last month, I didn't do much. Like, so the thing is, like, all my friends work during the week, so we usually go out on the weekend, and now I had to play every weekend. So it's like, yeah, it wasn't much to do. But now it's time to celebrate. I don't know, go to bar and have a drink.
Great. Awesome. And it seems like, all your friends that are supporting you both locally and across the world are ecstatic for you. So congratulations, PNC, and we'll see you later this year at the World Championship.
Okay.
All right. You see a sigh of relief.
I know.
I think he's just still, untwirling, I guess. Like a lot of people, when they compete, they kind of get into a certain zone and mindset. It's a little bit hard to unwind, from all of that tension that builds up. And so you can see the relief that washes over him now that, one, he's done qualifying for the global finals and winning, but two, he's also done with the interviews with me and TJ.
Done with the interviews. I think that's the big one. He's had a lot over the past 4 weeks since he's been winning a lot. But also, I think it's for him just kind of the whirlwind of this last day here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he 2-0'd his semifinal and 3-0'd his final. Like, that doesn't give you much time to think. You go into those matches thinking worst case scenario. He even said it. He didn't have high hopes. He said, I thought they were just going to beat me up. That deck's hard for Mage. And now he's like,
Anyway.
2 hours later, sitting here being interviewed by us, qualified for the global finals at BlizzCon. And, I think it's going to take a little bit to process. But, again, a huge shout out to PNC. And also a big congratulations to all of the players that we saw compete, and especially the top four. We had a lot of innovation in the top four as well, with Eddie bringing the Holy Wrath, Paladin Frozen with the Pogo Rogue. And even Purple made it to the finals. The only player in the entire playoffs across Asia Pacific, Europe, and Americas to bring Warrior to the playoffs in a field full of mages.
Yeah.
It makes to the finals. So shout out to him as well.
All right, so with that, we are done with the Americas season for the inaugural kickoff for Hearthstone Grandmasters. You guys saw it on the bracket. PNC able to defeat Purple. We started off the day with quite an unfortunate match with Purple versus Frozen. If you guys missed that, highly recommend you guys at least catch yourself up so you're understanding what the internet is discussing right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunate on both sides, but Purple did grab the victory there. And then PNC versus Eddie, very quick and systemic. I do anticipate Eddie to come back even stronger. I don't think, you know, the 0-2 loss is indicative of how much preparation and thought that went into that series. And sometimes that's just the way the cards fall. You can prepare as much as you want, and then you're at the mercy of, you know, being able to handle what's been thrown at you with whatever best you can make of it.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, PNC ends up taking it all. The first player from Latin America to qualify to that World Championship, Global Finals, what have you. So definitely excited to see him there. Now we have Surrender, Fino, and PNC. That's our current lineup.
It's great.
I think you could like say any 3 players from Grandmasters, and it would be a stacked lineup.
Yeah.
Like, these players really proved themselves over the course of the year, and that's an impressive feat.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, as we said, global fans around the world for Hearthstone, I think is represented too by the fact that there's a lot of streams going on in multiple languages, just showing how Hearthstone's evolved a lot more than just, you know, the people who speak English and maybe the people within the regions that we know do well already. There's growth in every corner of Hearthstone Tavern right now, and so no matter where you are from, you know, hopefully this inspires you to be also pick up Hearthstone and maybe join us in a Masters tour, maybe be able to find your way and start your own legacy, even if you don't feel like you have a lot of support right now. So with that, we're done with the broadcast, except we do have a special bonus presentation afterwards. We're going to do our very own Hearthstone Award show. We call it the Hearthies. I'll be hosting it. TJ, Admirable, and Sarah will be joining us. We're going to give the superlatives away, make fun of everyone, make fun of ourselves.
It is going to be a
fun of you.
fantastic time, filled with memes and laughter and fun, so I think you should stick around.
Don't miss it when we come back. The Hearthies, our first ever, will kick off here in the Hearthstone Grandmasters.